Hello and welcome back to the Kindness Network. How I'm being kind today is I'm trying to clear up some misconceptions that I noticed while grading your papers. At a later time, thank you. At a later time when it's appropriate, you can go look at your grades up there on both the menu and on the red cards if you have them turned in. I will allow you, if you don't like your grade on the menu, redo it. No, I'm not giving your paper back so you can see which ones you got wrong. That's just silly, silly, silly. If you don't like your red card grade, you can redo it. Now, I have taken a picture of the menu and posted it on the 5th grade Mr. McMurdo or Mr. McMurdo 5th grade Facebook page. I have taken a video of the red cards and put it on the tube of you. So you do have access to these materials at home. But today is going to be the last day that I'm giving you class time to work on the menu. So if you need to work on it after today, I would like you to come at the end of the school day and you can take one of the papers out of the menus, take it home, work on it, and then at the beginning of the school day tomorrow, put it back in the menu. Does that make sense, Kayla? Put it back. Yeah? Yeah, okay, good. First, something that drove me absolutely insane yesterday. You're right, insane-er. You were asked to write a 5-digit number. That number had to be divisible by 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9. Many of you made it way more difficult than it needed to be. I saw people going, all right, 6 into 1, 9, 3, 4, 2. And, oh, right, I need to take 5 into 1, 9, 3, 4, 2. And they were doing all this division, which that question didn't require any division. That question required knowing the divisibility rules, which are in your journal, and tomorrow you're getting a grade on them. I'm going to say, hey, open your journal up to the divisibility rules, and I'm going to walk around and go 100, 100, 100, oh, Hannah, 0, 100, oh, Elijah, 0. And so you're going to want to have them in your journal. Now, what else made me cray-cray yesterday? Hey, that kind of rhymed. Cray-cray yesterday. That's the way I feel in May. Oh. Okay, what else made me cray-cray yesterday is that many of you weren't even looking at the divisibility rules. So let's talk about that problem first. Because that was 20 points. The front side was 80 points. The back side was 20 points. So we needed a 5-digit number. For a number to be divisible by 2, it has to be an even number. And that means it has to end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So the ones place has to be either 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Now 3 is some of the digits. Is a multiple of 3. And you could have always looked at your multiplication chart because they show multiples. Now 6. 6 just says if it's divisible by 2 and 3, it's divisible by 6. So I didn't even really have to pay attention to that. If I made sure these two were correct, then I was golden on that. 5. 5 must end in a 0 or 5. Now knowing this, what's up here, I could figure out what my ones place would be. What would my ones place be? Answer me, answer me. It has to be a 0. Why does it have to be a 0?
Because it must end in 0 or 5 for the 5.
It must end in 0 or 5 for the 5s. And it needs to be an even number for the 2. So you used a little bit of thinking, if you did, used a little bit of thinking, and you found out that it had to have a 0 in the ones place. And the rule for 9, much like the rule for 3, is the sum of the digits needs to be a multiple of 9. So that's 9, 18, 27, 36. So if it is a multiple of 9, it's going to be a multiple of 3. Okay? Because all of these are multiples of 3. If you use your multiplication chart, you'd find all of these in the 3 column. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're good with me?
Yeah.
So if I erase this then, the only 3 rules I had to follow were these 3 right here. And once I put a 0 here, I'm done with this rule, and I'm done with this rule. So now, the only thing you had to do was to make sure the sum of the digits was 9, 18, 27, or 36. And make sure it has a 0 in the ones place. Gunnar, what's your question?
Well, I wasn't asking.
Oh, but you had your hand up and made me think you had a question.
No, I was going to tell you that.
Oh, you're going to tell me something? What are you going to tell me?
I was going to tell you that you could just put 9 because
I could just put 9 and zeros. I could put 9s all the way across. But once you figured out that the ones place has to be a 0, and you make sure the sum of the digits is 9, 18, 27, or 36, those would be the only 2 rules you really had to follow in order to make this work.
Really?
Now let's look at some of the answers I got. Some of these are right, some of these are wrong. I've got an answer of 35,628. Could that be an accurate answer?
No.
Why not? It's not a 0. I don't have to do anything. When I graded these, I didn't have every number that it falls into this at all. I didn't have every number that does that. I didn't. So all I had to do is I would look, ends in an 8. Now if you turned in this number, that means you didn't check the divisibility rules. You just wrote down a 5-digit number and said, boom, shakalaka, that has 5 digits. What? Like, okay, it has 5 digits. It wouldn't be a really problem that made you think if I said write down a 5-digit number. I got better answers here. I got the answer.
That's 4.
That is a 4-digit number. So I didn't even have to grade it. I didn't have to add the digits up. I just said, it's not a 5-digit number.
They added another 0. It would work out.
You want to know my favorite answer I got, though, yesterday?
What?
This is my favorite.
What? I got 5 digits.
So, not a 5-digit number.
At all.
Not divisible by 2. Not divisible by 3. Not divisible by 6. Not divisible by 9.
Only divisible by 5.
Only divisible by 5.
Oh my God.
I got some 54,360. Is that one good?
Yes.
Yes. Now, something else I told you is you couldn't have the same answer as somebody sitting near you. So if, let's just say, Kristen came up with this answer and I was sitting near Kristen, I might go, can't have the same answer, so... Or 54,630. I mean, as long as you followed the rules I gave you, but if you got it wrong, that tells me you really didn't check your work. Does it have to do with this?
No.
No. Okay, then you can wait. Okay, then you can wait.
What if you were sitting on like the two corners of the room?
Well, then all you have to do is get your one right answer.
No. And you came out with the exact same answer.
That's fine. I said nobody sitting near you can have the same answer. All right. So about that problem. It required you to think just a little bit. But some of you said, it's got to be divisible by 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9. That's way too many steps. It's got to have 5 digits, way too many steps. I just think it's too hard, so I'm not going to do it. My job is to teach you not to quit. Some of you quit. If you turned in an answer that wasn't right, that tells me you quit because you didn't check. You had the information you needed to do to check it. So if you wrote down a number, then you should have checked it. Okay, it ends in 0. Okay, it had sum of the digits is this. Okay, and really, there is no logical reason that you shouldn't have gotten that done correctly. The only reason you would have gotten it done incorrectly is if you didn't take the time to go through the steps and check your work.
Wait.
So, let's talk. Yes, ma'am.
Is that on there?
No, but it's in your journal, and I told you to open your journal, and that's another point. I said your divisibility rules are in your journal, and about 2/3 of you didn't open up your journal, which is why I didn't ask for a poll of everybody yell out if you did. Gosh. Which is why I saw some of you actually taking it and making it way harder than it was. Shh. Yes, sir.
Say if someone did try to divide, make the number divisible by every single one of those numbers, it wouldn't work out because 2 doesn't go into 5, 3, or 9.
Yeah, but you're not dividing it into 5, 3, or 9. You're dividing it into the whole 5-digit number.
Yeah, I know, but it still wouldn't work out.
Yes, it would. If it has a 0 in the ones place, it's divisible, and that's just the ones place. If it has a 0 in the ones place, it's divisible by 5, and it's divisible by 2. And then all you have to do is make sure these places right here added up to either 9, 18, 27, 36. So that's really as simple as you had to make it. Sir, does it have to do with this?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really get how it's that hard because someone made a 9 million digit prime numbers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, you can do a 10 million digit prime number for me later. All right, something else I noticed yesterday on the menu. And you're going to look at your menu grade, and some of you are going to not like it, which I'm going to let you redo it, which is why I put the grade up there so you can see if you want to redo it. That grade was as of this morning at about 7:30 is when I posted those grades. Okay, something else I saw. You had a problem, and I'm making this up off the top of my head, so you had a problem, and let's say it said, and that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it said, and it said this whole thing here equals 75. And then you were supposed to figure out how much D equaled. And on the paper, it says equation. And then it says D equals. Some of you just put whatever D equaled. Some of you put 30. No, D doesn't equal 75. All of these D's together equal 75. Some of you just put, let's see, should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 goes into 75. 15. Some of you, your answer on your paper, number 11, 15. Well, that's wrong. That's not correct because it asks for an equation and it asks for what D equals. The number 15 means nothing to me by itself. That could stand for 15 boogers Logan ate.
15 years old.
It could stand for 15 inches of rain outside right now. It could stand for 15 years in the 5th grade. It could stand for anything. So what I should have seen on a problem like this is 75 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals D, and D equals 15. This was the entire answer, not 15. But this is what most of you put, and because I'm a jerk, I marked it wrong. Yes, you found the right answer. But the whole point of it, well, part of the point of it is learning how to write an equation. That's also what we're going to cover in tutorials today. So if you need help on writing equations, please watch the tutorial video that I'll record today and post, because we'll be working on writing equations. So that might be helpful. Another question from yesterday that I noticed by looking at your papers. There was a problem that said 4M.
4 million.
Well, a number and a letter side by side means multiply. So this is the same as saying 4 times M. That's what that dot means also. Let me tell you why they use the dot. Because if I use the X like you've been using your whole entire lives, it'd be 4xm. And that looks like these are two variables. That's why as you get older and you start putting letters in there, which wasn't hard, sometimes kids are like, oh my goodness, math was getting easy, and then they threw the letter A in it and C in there, and then it's so hard I'm going to cry. But it's not. You have been doing... Okay, let me show you. I know because I've got a daughter in 1st grade. This is some of the math that you did when you were younger. 6 plus 4 equals, and then they'd have a little box there where you write your answer. Remember doing that?
Yes.
That's the same thing as saying 6 plus 4 equals M. But once they throw the N and M in there, you guys are like, oh! And you think it's harder. Or if they did 6 minus 4 equals M, or 6 minus M equals 4, you guys automatically just freak out when all they're doing is placing the box in the place of the letter. And you've seen the box doesn't freak you out, but you get freaked out just because you see this. But remember, number and letter side by side, just because the letter's in it doesn't make it any harder. So there was a problem on there that said they were talking about texts on Saturday and Sunday, and a lot of people got that wrong, because when you're reading it, the first thing, so most of you didn't write down anything, you just thought, oh, do this and then solve it. Let me give you a little hint. On that problem, and if you're watching at home, that problem's on my Facebook page. You can look there. Boom, shakalaka. When you're reading it, you should figure out, first of all, which day had the most. So, for example, I'm not going to solve it for you, but let's see. All right. Haley received 33 text messages on Saturday. So I know that received 33 on Saturday. On Saturday, which was 18 fewer than what they received on Sunday. So which day had the most?
Saturday.
Sunday. Read what it said. On Saturday, which was 18 fewer than they had on Sunday. 18 fewer than what they had on Sunday. So this is going to have the most of those 2 days. But you have to read it carefully, because a lot of you just said, oh, Saturday's the highest, let's do this. Subtraction, boom, shakalaka, all done. But you got to read it and think. And that's why I'm doing this today, because I just teach to say I love you, I just teach to show how much I care. All right. Something else I noticed, there was a problem that you ended up having to multiply. You ended up having to multiply a problem something like that. And some of you got this, or no, it was 6.25. Let's see. No. You had to multiply this problem, and it made it real clear because it said it was 5 times as tall, or 5/10 times as tall. Well, some of the answers I got were illogical. Didn't make sense. Didn't make dollars. You didn't really think when you wrote it on your paper. It doesn't rhyme, but you know. You get what I'm saying. Okay, let me ask Kayla a question. Kayla, I am multiplying 6 and 25/100ths by something smaller than 1. Is my product going to be greater than or less than 6 and 25/100ths? Less than. But some of you had an answer of like 31 and 73/100ths. You're multiplying by less than 1. My answer, this factor is going to get smaller for my product. And I just made this answer, so don't think that's the real answer. I just made that up. Okay, this is going to be a smaller. Your product is going to be smaller than this factor. Now, in my favorite thing, and I've probably said that about 100 of these, one of my favorite things, answers on this when I graded it, there was that problem that talked about marbles. And it said there were green marbles, blue marbles, yellow marbles, red marbles, da-da-da-da-da. There were this many of whatever, red, blue, whatever. And then it asks, which color marble could be put into 6 equal groups? And some answers were 48. But the question asked, which color marble? Well, seeing as how I have young daughters, 5 and 6, and we've worked on colors, and we've worked a lot of time on colors. I mean, we go to the paints, and we're talking colors all the time. And I've never, and I mean never, seen the color 48. The color 48 is not a paint color.
I'll make that a color.
You could not go to Sherman-Williams and say, hey, I think I'm going to paint my house 48. Will you, don't try and be funny, that's my job. Will you give me 2 buckets of 48?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. You have to answer the question that's being asked. You have to answer the question that's being asked. Because if the guy at Chili's came up to you and says, what would you like for dinner? And you said, I don't know, turn right. You're just answering whatever question you want to. You're not answering the question he asks. May you help me.
Well, what if the number 48 is in the hexadecimal digits for a number on a computer?
I don't know. You're going to have to explain that to me at a later. Will you write me a 2-page paper explaining that to me? Because I'm not real comfortable with hexadecimals. So there's paper right behind you. I want it 2 pages, front and back, grammar correct, single spaced. Okay, so hexadecimal 48, whatever. Just write that, explain it. So you have to answer the question that's being asked. You have to take your time and think. I've already told you, probably 728 times. You all are extremely smart. The issues come in when we rush, like some of you did on the 5-digit number, because you didn't go through and check it. When you don't take your time, when you make a silly mistake, when you just want to be done instead of being correct. if I'm in an archery competition and I'm going against, let's say, December, and December and I are in an archery competition, and I'm like, boom, 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 I shot all mine first, I win, and none of them hit the target, no, I don't win. Just because I got done first doesn't mean I win. December takes her time, bullseye, she's won. Even though I finished first. Math is like an archery contest, not a 100-yard dash. It's more important to be accurate than to be done quickly. Now you're going to check in a moment and you'll be able to see what you got on the menu. Don't like it, redo it. If you turned in the red cards, you're going to be able to see what you got done on the red cards. Don't like it, redo it. Tomorrow we are not working on the menu. So you're either going to be done today, or you're going to come at the end of the school day, take a paper out of the menu, out of the plastic sheet, come back tomorrow in the morning and put it back in the plastic sheet so that somebody else can use it if they need it. I'm not putting a due date on it. I'm expecting maybe in the next week or so you'll be done and have the grade you want. So do take your time, because my goal is for you to learn it. Learn it, not just get it done. Does that make pennies?
Yes. It's actually dollars.
That's my dog's name.
Penny.
Pennywise.
She's a copper color.
Hey,
Wow, that's interesting. Could you tell me about every single day of your dog's life, one day at a time? Day 1, go. Poop and eat. Day 2, go. Poop and eat.
Day
Day
3,
go. Poop and eat. Chase the ball.
Day 4.
Love ya. Be kind.